Hello, and welcome to another episode of Vibe. I'm your host, Justin Land, and today I'm with Mark Shihadeh, and I hope I got that right?
You got it right. Very good.
Great, great. He is a life coach, certified law of attraction practitioner, and a faster EFT practitioner, which I think he'll have to explain to us later because I'm also not so familiar with it.
Okay.
So how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah,
Excited to talk to you.
yeah. I mean, this is you're the fourth Joshua teaching Joshua guest. I've only
That's awesome. This is
met
going to be
four.
the best one, I promise you.
I'm looking forward to it. No, why not? I mean, the one with Gary was awesome. All the others are awesome.
Let's shoot to be better than the one with Gary. And if that happens, I'll be really happy.
No, yeah, he has the extra, that extra bang with Joshua that comes through. But
This is true. I know. That's why we have to try really hard.
did you see it? Did you see the podcast or did you hear it?
No, I have not. No,
Okay.
I'd like to see it.
Of course. Yeah, but you've been of course longer in the program. You've known Gary longer, and you've been familiar with the teachings longer. I don't know how long ago did you start with the whole law of attraction thing?
With Gary or just law of attraction?
Actually, the start. What made you
The start.
come to the realization that the world runs according to the law of attraction?
Oh, very good. Yeah. Well, it was a long time ago. It was in the late 80s. My aunt, who knew I was into self-help things, and I think I knew of Seth. I'm not sure if you knew of Seth. There's a book called Seth Speaks. Yep. Yeah, and so my aunt sent me Abraham Hicks tape.
In the 80s.
Yeah, in the late 80s. Yeah. And I was checking it out, and I really liked it. I really liked the information, and then I found out it was channeling. And I'm a young guy. I'm thinking this is kind of weird, and I don't know about it. But at the same time, I thought the information was so amazing. I'm like, well, I have to check this out for myself. So I went to a workshop, and this was before that we could even see what she looks like. This is before YouTube, so I went to a workshop, and the lady at the door taking the tickets, I was talking to her. When the show started, I see that this is the same lady who was Esther.
Wow,
Esther. This is the beginning. This is very, in the beginning of or towards the beginning of the workshops.
You tell me you did not, when you were buying your ticket, did you, by her voice, recognize it or figure it out?
You mean when I first talked to her at the door?
Exactly. It'd be interesting.
That's bizarre. Because as Abraham, she talks differently than her own voice.
She is, yeah. I mean, her the energy is still there, but there is a big shift. You're absolutely right. So it's cool.
There's a big difference. Yeah, and especially in the beginning, she sounded even different than how they sound now. It was a strong kind of an accent. It was pretty weird. So I checked. I was actually even able to ask a question, get up on the hot seat.
Oh, so for the viewers, the listeners, back in the day, I mean, how big was the crowd?
I remember it. I remember a few things. I don't remember exactly how big, but it was a good size. I'm not good with estimating numbers, but
okay. I just thought the concept of the hot seat though is kind of cool because not everybody can talk. I don't know, on the day maybe it was much more easier, but if you have a group of people, you have to have one person asking questions to these entities to kind of, and that there's a process that is, I think, been refined over time of somehow picking out people who need to be asked and are the best for asking the question for the whole group as well.
Right. It was hundreds. It was at least hundreds of people. Yeah.
You just raised your hand and she was like,
yeah, I just raised my hand and I think a microphone came around and
nice. What was your question? You don't remember?
Actually, I remember the question. So I was talking about, I told her I was shy, or I told them, I have to remember that it's them, not her, but I said I was shy, and what can I do about that? And she says, well, we don't feel you shy now. And I said, well, actually I am, because I'm kind of holding back, you know. And they said something like, what we feel from you is there is a shy of being a smaller person, and then there is a shy of just, I don't remember exactly how she put it, and I'm gonna not put it as good at all, but I think she was saying like, not everyone's gonna relate to your, or you don't relate to people on a certain level, and that's okay. So I basically, they were telling me it wasn't a shyness out of weakness or being smaller than I am.
Right.
Maybe
Positive
the
understanding. More of a
maybe the
positive
opposite.
understanding. Yeah.
What's that?
More of a positive interpretation of shyness. Just maybe a more solitary approach. Maybe still strength from within, not needing to go out and get people to somehow justify things for you.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a positive spin on it. So it was pretty interesting. And so anyway, so the Abraham Hicks stuff, I thought it was amazing. And so I would get the tapes of the workshops twice a week for, I think, over 30 years.
Wow. The
Like
tapes and the old school tapes.
the tapes were the old school, and I still had a cassette tape in my car. And so I just stopped recently because, of course, it's on YouTube, anything you can get. But I wanted to master the law of attraction. I ate up the Abraham Hicks information.
Wow, this is so, yeah, you're definitely an expert. I mean, so you seem to have come in touch with it very early, and then have gone to some workshops, listened to the tapes. And when did you realize that you became very proficient in it in your daily life?
Yeah, it's a long process. It's a type of, there's an art to it, there's a practice to it. And I would try stuff and it didn't. I remember one time I'm like, okay, I can have whatever I want. I'm going to eat whatever I want. And I'm going to be able to, my metabolism's going to go fast, and I'm going to be able to lose weight. And I tried that and I just gained weight, right?
Okay.
So, as we all do, we try things. And then instead of saying, when it didn't work, instead of saying the law of attraction, quote unquote, doesn't work, I said to myself, well, what's the nuance that I'm missing? So those are the little things that I wanted to study. So how did I know it worked? There was one time in my life where I had I guess, dark night of the soul moment. And I'm not going to go into the details of what happened, but it was a really challenging time in my life. And and I felt lost, and I lost kind of faith in myself. And at that time, I loved the law of attraction. I ate up all the information and I believed it, but I wasn't applying it like I could have been. So what I thought was, I was struggling. Actually, what it was, long story short, I was a recording studio engineer at that time, and I wasn't going to work a 9 to 5 my whole life. I was going to do my own thing, music. And then the recording studio, I did that for 6 years and it stopped. So I'm at a point in my life where, well, I want something different. So what now? What am I going to do now? And I struggled. I was living with my girlfriend at the time in a condo, and I needed to make rent. And I started to do temp work, and again, lost and doing these temp jobs and being broke. And so I thought, you know what? And I kind of struggled for a couple years. And I thought, my way's not working. I'm really going to try the law of attraction approach, or Abraham Hicks approach. And that is the idea that I can't attract a better situation from worry and anxiety and trying really hard. So what do I do? What's the alternative? I have to feel as good as I can. I have to figure out how to feel good. What I was doing wasn't feeling good. I was kind of just trying to get work and figure it out and trying really hard. So I started driving around, and I started to park with nice views and kind of relax, meditate, listen to music, just to feel better, just for the sake of feeling better, what Abraham Hicks says. And Joshua is, I love what Abraham Hicks says, nothing is more important than that I feel good. So I started doing that and I would have resistance to that, because I would think, well, I don't deserve to feel good. I have to figure out my situation. I have to figure out how to make money and pay rent and things like that. So there was that resistance that you work through. As you know, we're going to find out from you how your experience with it, but you tried things and you worked through it.
Of course.
And so I did that. I would drive every day and I would relax and I would meditate and chill out and just feel good for the sake of feeling good. And then things started to work out for me. I attracted a better job, and then even a better job, and then a job to where I really loved it. And I made enough money to like marry my wife, who I was living with at the time, and found a job that I loved. So that was like my proof that, this shit works. If you apply it.
If you isolated the feeling aspect and you're confident that you were able to do it without looking on the outside for some sort of reinforcement, you were able from inside to build up that feeling good, in following inspiration, and then at some point it became obvious that energetic flow became manifested into tangible kind of events. And
yeah, it's the trying to make something happen versus what you're saying, feeling good from the inside and then trusting and waiting for inspiration and acting on that instead of acting on your own. I was acting on my own anxiety to find a job.
Yeah. Out of fear. Yeah. That's of course that's,
and fear.
That's the biggest.
Exactly.
So this is so there's a shift, of course, that happens when studies Abraham, then studies Joshua. Joshua obviously goes more into not just feeling good, but focusing on beliefs that are always going to be there, certain limiting beliefs, to release them, to ease them up, to, in a sense, see fear the negative emotion as also a positive feedback of sorts. And this is something that Abraham doesn't really touch on too much, and it's helped me a lot understand this reality. And I just wondering, how did you come to then from Abraham to Joshua's teachings?
Right. So it's years later, and I'm a client. I'm a life coach with a client who tells me about Joshua. They said, "Oh, do you know there is Joshua? It's very similar to Abraham." And they let me hear the podcast, and I heard the podcast, and on it was, at the time, I know Kyla was on it, and I believe Wendy was on it, and I forget the other two. Steve, right? Steven was on it.
Maybe Oscar.
And I loved Gary, and I loved how they swore. I loved how they were real, because the Abraham, even when I went to the Abraham workshop, I was young, and I'm like, these new age people are weird. I was a little like, I didn't really relate to them as much. I was kind of, again, I was on my own a little bit, and I was a little judgy back then. That's what I, learning how to not be as judgmental, but I didn't, so I loved, Gary's my age, and he's keeping it real, and I really related to them, and I loved everyone on the podcast. So I fell in love with the podcast is how I first got into Joshua.
That's exactly the route I went. I started actually with Joshua Live. I didn't get too much involved or listen to the roundtable maybe later, but it was just the message was so it was such a high uplifting one that it was amazing how he can turn everything to a positive, and how things it was like magic, listening to it,
Right.
And that led me to contact Gary about the boot camp and such, and to actually be in the calls now is also a cool thing, to kind of be part of the process of making because in the moment you may have your own questions you want to ask, or not, but if you don't ask them, you find out that you didn't have to, because it seems like your question was answered by somebody else's question, or Joshua took it on kind of a side detour that was to also help you with your question maybe. And so yeah, definitely that was my favorite podcast, and so that's that's how I came to teaching. So you are a bit, I think you're quite active in the community. I think I've seen that you're also, you're, you, I think you write a bit on Facebook about EFT, faster EFT. Can you just maybe touch on what exactly is that?
Yeah, faster EFT. So, as I was studying the law of attraction, and you know, self-empowerment is like my passion, self-empowerment, and that's for me and that's for others, right? That's just my passion. So as I'm studying this stuff, Abraham Hicks and anything law of attraction, anything self-help, Anthony Robbins, Deepak Chopra back in the day. And what I was doing was looking for something to remove blocks to, to, to what we want. So we have the law of attraction, which is the how, I think, and the foundation of how I believe metaphysically how our world works. But if you have blocks can be just limiting beliefs and experiences. And I wanted to learn how to, so I would study and research blocks, different things. And I remember finding EFT, and EFT is tapping. And then from EFT, I found faster EFT. So faster EFT is basically, Robert Smith created that. And what he did was he used EFT as well, and also NLP, neuro-linguistic programming,
Right.
which I learned from Anthony Robbins way back in the day,
Me
and
too,
other
yeah.
books. Oh, really?
Yeah, of course. That's
Yeah.
I think Anthony Robbins was probably opened me up to the world of positivity and emotion, the power of that, and how it influenced their life. Of course, it's the message I was able to let to different sources to broaden that, because he uses it, of course, as a tool, and it's a very powerful tool. It's kind of and a bit of the basically, if quote unquote fake it till you make it, which I think is absolutely true. And the teachings of Joshua confirm that once you vibrate at that level of being, then you are that being. There's no need for preparation other than vibrationally. So
Right.
just how flexible your beliefs. And Tony Robbins is amazing because his life and energy, that guy, he's definitely inhuman. I mean,
Yeah.
and yeah, so yeah, that's a wonderful start for you as well, I guess.
Absolutely. I mean, back in the day, I remember watching him late night shows, and he was kind of a little cheesy, and my mom bought the tapes, and I listened, and I thought, it's funny. Everything I started with, there's a little resistance to it. But yeah, so I studied up Anthony Robbins. And so as I found Robert Smith, who created faster EFT, he studied all these different modalities, and he really studied how the brain works and how and his approach at the foundation's law of attraction. We get what we hold inside. So if we have memories and traumas and things that have happened to us, experiences that, well, what happens is when we have these, let's say they're traumas, we record them, and that and we attach beliefs to them, and our brain, our neural pathways are connected to, let's say, this trauma of how to feel and act when we come across a certain similar situation. So
Right.
basically, our past experiences give us an automatic roadmap on how to behave.
Mm.
So, for example, let's say, I don't know, a girl broke my heart when I was in high school. And now, if I could be someone who my heart really got heartbroken, and I got hurt so bad that I have these automatic beliefs that come up, and these feelings that women are going to break your heart. Be careful with women. So
you had these before. You're talking
I
from
didn't.
personal.
Yeah, so
experience.
This didn't happen, but I'm saying, for example,
Okay.
things can like something, you could have had a girlfriend in high school, and I could have had a girlfriend in high school. And if I got my heart broken, I can react differently than you could. You could have just blown it off and said, okay, that's just her. That doesn't mean much. And if I'm the kind of person who really creates meaning with what happened. So it's not what happens to us, is the meaning we put on that. So
Right.
and also what happens when we are really badly hurt, there's a coping mechanism that kicks in to want us to protect us, to make sure it never happens again.
Mhm.
So let's say I get my heart broken and I'm weary of women now. That feeling of being weary of women, it's going to stick with me. And it's an automatic thing. And these are programs that are running that not even really aware of. And I'm not consciously doing them, but let's say later on, I want to get married and find women. I still have these beliefs about women, and I still have this internal fear because I have these experiences. And as you know, because of the law of attraction, if I have that, I'm just going to attract more of that. So
Right.
after high school, I attract someone. In college, the same thing. And so then it becomes a negative spiral.
Mhm.
So faster EFT is a great way to go back to these, doesn't have to be traumatic, but these memories that shape us into feeling and thinking and believing things that aren't really working out for us in our lives.
But isn't tapping more, it has to do with physical tapping of the body, right?
Right. So tapping. So what we do is we use tapping. So
Mhm.
let's say let's say I want to change that experience in high school, that girl who broke my heart. So I would experience the feeling of it. I would go back there, or if a practitioner was working with me, if I was a client, they would say, go back there, feel what you felt, hear what you heard, see what you saw, and feel that heartbreak, and then the practitioner would start tapping, or I would start tapping on myself, and I would be guided to tap on myself in between the eyebrows, side of the eye, under the eye, half an inch under your collarbone. In
Okay.
between the eyebrows, side of the eye, under the eye, half an inch under your collarbone.
And what is that
What that
doing?
is, so very good question. What that does is you break the trance of the trauma.
Okay.
So when my mind is in the pain of getting broken up and that heartbreak, and I remember those times when I was all alone and I missed her and the heartbreak, when I feel that, and when I even go back, I can recreate that just by remembering it, right?
Mhm.
And then if I tap, I'm going from my mind to the body, and I'm getting out of that. I'm breaking the trance of that. And my neural pathways are actually being softened and changing, because people who understand the brain know that every time we visit a memory, our intention at the time and how we're feeling at the time is updating the memory.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? So
It's
if I
coding it.
remember that and then I tapping is a way of relaxing my body, relaxing myself, and saying different things, letting go, let it go, it's okay, it was a long time ago. Then now my memories are actually being upgraded. So when I go back to that time, that heartbreak, it's a little softer. And then I do it again. And we have, as practitioners, have tricks to go back and do certain things and find different ways to soften that, and we call it a defrag, which means to get out of that negative trance.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so it even works without tapping. It's a
Mhm.
distraction from the thing that's bothering you, the memory or the trauma. You do it enough times, we get it and we measure it. So if it's 0 to 10, if it's really bothering me, it was a 10. We do it until it's a 0,
Mhm.
and then we rewrite the memory,
Okay.
because we know that it's not real. It's something that we're making up. A
Mhm.
memory is something that I go in my mind and I recreate. So if I can
Exactly.
recreate a memory, I can, as I tap down the hurt of it to 0, I can recreate it any way I want.
Mhm.
And so then when I recreate that memory and change what happened, or basically we're not really changing what happened, but we're changing how I hold on to that. Then, and as I practice that new memory, then I'm attracting from that. Now I'm attracted to that good experience with women. So that's and that works with pain in our bodies. That works with, you know, so we believe faster EFT is the best way to allow the law of attraction to work in our lives.
So it's a very, very cool tool. I mean, it reminds me of the
Yeah,
NLP technique of maybe, if you had a bad memory in the past, make it funny, make it more of a character kind of in your mind with a projector, like you talked
exactly.
about. And that you've combined it with, it seems like some sort of also acupuncture points or points of the body that have tension. And then when you hit them, I guess there's a relief that one infuses the memory with that relief and that good feeling as well, or lets go of
Yeah,
the tension that was involved in the memory. I should say on a side note that, I mean, this is a wonderful, it sounds like, I mean, these things do work, and it can be, I think it can be very, how do you say, it's effective and it's simple. I mean, but it's more about the guidance and the flow. Whereas people don't realize they have a choice with memory, which is a very important point, that your energy is collecting your memories as well, as you're pointing out. So, you know, the energy that you are now at the moment is your magnetic point. So you're literally drawing on things that were not, there is no past if you're quantum. So
that's right.
You're lining up timelines that, you know, have some sort of, how do you say, cohesion, but those little shifts are completely different worlds, completely different realities and perception. And it gives us the freedom to become like, to be the person, for example, to be Tony Robbins. You know, you could be, or I could be that kind of guy, right?
Right.
But it would take a completely reworking of our biographies, and but we could have the same events, right? But we can infuse it with something else, like what you're doing, also to turn into a very positive, you know, overcoming story as well, or and
yeah, let's say if I wanted to become Anthony Robbins, to use fast theory of T and the law of attraction, what I would do is I would imagine that, okay, I want to become Anthony Robbins, and then I would write down all my resistance to that. I can never be that guy. All the resistance, make a list of the resistance, and then go to each one and tap on it, tap it down. So, I can, you know, I can never talk publicly in space and on a stage, and then I would tap on that, and then rewrite that from fear of being a public speaker to I'm an excellent public speaker, right? So that it's a great tool, and we teach people how to do it for themselves. So we don't want people to be reliant on us. We want people to be empowered themselves. So you make a list of all the things, any kind of resistance of being Tony Robbins, you tap on that, change it to what you want. And if we want to be Tony Robbins, if you want to be Tony Robbins, or our version of it, it can be done.
It's funny because Tony Robbins actually, in the back in the day, he tells about one of his first, when he was first starting out, somebody stole his workshop. Well, he couldn't make a date, he canceled it, so he got no money from it. And it turns out, like, the guy who organized it, son, held it, took what he saw from Tony Robbins from a previous seminar or whatever, and gave Tony Robbins' life story as if it was his own life story to the crowd.
Yeah.
And everybody knew it was Tony Robbins' life story, but not his life story. And I was like, very cool, irony there. But I think that you're in essence, you are a life coach. I think that's your calling, or and you have a lot of things at your disposal to help people face their fears or deal with trauma or reach goals. Is part of your, what do you feel about goals, especially given Joshua's teachings now?
Yeah, I'm in total alignment with Joshua when it comes to goals, and Abraham Hicks is, so I don't really believe in goals for many reasons, but, you know, unless you're someone who could, well, there's two things. First, our goals, sometimes they're things we think we want, and Joshua says that all the time. So there might be things, you know, I think I want that white house on the mansion, and I want it to be rich, and I want that red Porsche. So I think it's good to look at why we want the things that we think we want, number one. Mm-hmm. What do we think it's going to give us? Or even if I'm alone and I want a girlfriend, you know, why do I want that girlfriend? Is it because is it because I'm lonely by myself? So if I set, people tend to set all kinds of goals to fill a need or a hole in your life where you're not feeling complete. Mm-hmm. So a goal doesn't really help with giving you what you really want, which is a feeling of feeling complete anyway. Let's say if I want a girlfriend, it's more about self-love. It's more about feeling okay being alone.
Yes.
And that's how I attracted my wife, Kelly, is I used the law of attraction back then, is I was, I finally got okay with being alone and learned how to make myself happy. And then when that happened, Kelly came,
Of
my wife
course,
came.
that's the way it's
Yeah.
supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah, it's like yeah, it's always the B. We think that B follows A,
Right.
and we're being taught now actually no, B first, A, or it doesn't even matter, but it's all you, and
Yeah.
it's hard to accept sometimes, but we're given these tools from these wonderful teachers now in our age that we can understand them.
We're so
It's
lucky.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean imagine the generations before. I mean, there's some ones that were able to use these things. I mean, it's all about living a happy life. That's the goal here. But
Right.
you can see anybody who's been successful throughout history, whatever success means, they had some understanding of intuitively of law of attraction. I mean, there were, of course, very controlling aspects of these individuals, and they can distort everybody. You could get off the rail quite a bit, and
Yes,
you
you
see
can.
that you can see that, and it's part of the. I think the reason we are here, though, is because we like playing with the idea of imperfection, even though we are, as Joshua says, perfect. That's why for me, it's like it's awesome for coaches and trainers and teachers because you it's like your own. You realize that it's you, but it's also the other. And how do I? Yeah, I'm going on a little leeway here because I'm wondering. Yeah, what is your feeling about coaches now? Because it seems like what do you do for
Well, oh,
people? No.
well, yeah, coaches, it's like anything. Every coach was so different and diverse. So I call myself, I'm a faster EFT, level 4 practitioner, and I use mostly that, and I use help my clients with leading edge law of attraction principles. And I basically use faster EFT as a coach. So there are so many different kinds of coaches. So most of my clients are people who have tried different modalities, tried everything, and then they find Robert Smith, they find faster EFT, and they feel that it's the only thing that works for them because so my clients tend to have a lot of trauma and a lot of things in their past that are stopping them from whatever they want, you know and so I usually deal, and also we deal with a lot of people with pain. you know we
Mm.
we um, we know that the body is just reacting to our mind, and there's that connection that people don't understand.
Yes.
So if you came to me and you said, Mark, I have this pain, we're going to find the emotional reason for it. We're trained to
Nice.
figure out, you know, well, we're going to try our darndest to find the emotional reason, and
Well,
then
maybe could
yeah,
use an example now. I mean, we're virtual, but I did this with Isabel actually with her
yeah, let's do it.
thing. But
Is
I
this
don't have a
something?
pain, but
Yeah.
but I'm going through some adjustments. It's not pain, but it's on my spine. There was a small protrusion. I thought it was a pimple
Mhm.
on the just to the left side here,
Okay.
and on the top. And he went to the doctor. He says it's not a tumor or anything. And but I found that the whole left side of me, even sometimes you can see in this picture, it kind of tilts a little bit. And I had, well, 2 months ago, a problem with my left hip, not a problem, but I had to really ease up on it. And my big toe is a little slight. Sometimes
Okay. All
pain.
right.
Yeah.
Let's do it. All right. So now, of course, this is just a demo. In a real session,
Yes.
we're going to ask a series of questions to figure out what this is all about. But we're just going to demo it. So just do this. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And feel this, what you're experiencing right now with your spine and this part of your body. And now you're saying it's the left side?
Yeah, it seems for some reason to be the left side. It seems very obvious a left thing. I don't know.
It's a left. Okay. All right. So the left is, now I don't usually like to do this, but the left is usually related to women. Do you have any issues going on with women?
No, I mean, I would say a readjustment of my lifestyle. So I separated, or now it's approaching 5 years. So, and I've been
You
in
separated 5 years ago.
from a marriage where it was like 18 years together. So,
Okay, so as a
yeah.
practitioner, what I would do is I would go to some of those. I would go there and look at some of those issues of the separation. Is there sadness there? Is there regret? Whatever that is. And then, but let's do this again. So close your eyes, take a deep breath, and see how this feels in your body, and see what comes up when you think about what's happening now. Is there a fear? Is there a frustration? What comes up for you? And you may see things, you may think things, and it also might remind you of things in the past. So as I ask you this, what's coming up for you now?
In relation to the events or my body.
Your
Um,
body and what it reminds you of.
okay, interesting. Well, obviously, if it's because it's a bit of a lowering of the left, and I don't even feel it though. It just obviously kind of a physical manifestation that's kind of visual to me. That there's a big shift in who I am going on between right and left, finding my balance and my center, obviously being separated from somebody after such a long time, but we're still very close, live around a block from each other, have 2 kids. So it's, um, I'm not feeling like it's something from that, but it could be. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. So again, in a real session, I would do other things, but we're going to just do a demonstration here now. So also, when did it start?
Okay, so I'm thinking for a second. The little toe thing has been perhaps the longest. That was about maybe 6 months. It's not a big deal. The shift in my hips, which lasted for a week and now is kind of gone, that happened about 3 months ago. And at the same time, roughly, but it's grown to be bigger and bigger, this protrusion, um, that started about the same time, about 3 months ago.
What was happening in your life 3 months ago?
Hmm. Very interesting question. 3 months ago, I have to think what, see, with me and time. That would be December, November, October. Yeah. It's a good question. I've been, did anything major happen? Nothing negative that I would interpret as necessarily negative. I've been going through, some financial stuff since the last 2 or 3 years, dealing with
Hmm.
bankruptcy and stuff.
Hmm.
But and that's definitely my kind of fear thing is around money,
Hmm.
and I wonder if that's maybe perhaps that makes more sense. I think.
Okay. So sometimes there's an accumulation, and we have a ongoing of certain thoughts, and let's say it's fears of money, financial fears, and then 6 months ago it can accumulate to a body reaction to that. So so we don't know yet, but let's do this since we don't know yet. Right now, feel that feeling now. So what are you experiencing right now, currently?
Right now, I'm not experiencing discomfort,
Okay.
so and even if if I try to sense it, it's just that it's such an obvious mound on my back. If you saw it, you could see it. I never had something like that before.
Okay. So
And
so notice how that makes you feel, and
okay,
let it bother you for the last time.
okay.
Okay. So how strong, 0 to 10, where 10 really bothers you, 0 doesn't bother you at all?
To be honest, it really doesn't bother me. It makes me curious
Curious.
because
So this is not a problem.
the physical manifestation hasn't caused me any discomfort. It seems like an obvious signal that of something symbolic to me, maybe. Whereas the hip thing definitely took me out in a strange way. For I'll say discomfort was about 8. or 7.
And how do you feel about the hip thing now? You're saying it's not bothering you?
No,
anymore?
It's been resolved. I'd feel the left and the right side are kind of
Yeah.
It doesn't. I don't have the lower, but I stopped lifting like I did before. Like I don't like jump to pick up a box. I probably can open my eyes.
Okay. So let me ask you this: is there something right now? If you look at your life right now, something that can be bothering you, that might be an annoyance, something that you've been thinking about that worries you? Okay. So, and you don't even have to tell us. That's the other thing about this.
All right.
Is it something you don't want to talk about? You'd rather keep it?
I'm the host here, so I can technically censor things, right?
Okay. No, don't worry about it. Okay. So think about that thing and let it bother you for the last time. Tell me when you got it. Okay. How strong? 0 to 10.
It's still, I mean, it's a 5 still because.
Okay. Make it bigger.
Make it feel more uncomfortable?
Yeah. Let it bother you bigger.
Okay.
Got it?
All right.
What number is it now?
Maybe a 6.
A 6. Okay. So Justin, if a room has been dark for thousands of years and I turn the light switch on, what happens to the darkness?
The darkness disappears.
All right. So open your eyes and follow me now. Tap between the eyebrows and just repeat after me and say, I release and let go.
Release and let go.
I'm eliminating all sadnesses.
I'm eliminating all sadnesses.
Emotional traumas, fears.
Emotional traumas, fears.
And you don't have to think too much. We're doing subconscious work. So just go ahead and just let your subconscious do the work. Side of the eyebrow. Say all angers, resentments, guilts.
All anger is resentment, skills.
Under the eye. Judgments, abandonments, betrayals.
Judgment is abandonment and betrayals.
And, people at home can also do this too. Anything that's bothering them, tap on it too, tap along. Collarbone, 1/2 inch on your collarbone. You can use your whole hand to get both sides of the sternum and say, rejections, frustrations.
Rejection is frustrations.
Helpless and hopeless feelings.
Helpless and hopeless feelings.
Eliminating feelings of no control.
Limiting feelings of no control.
And everything else.
And everything else.
I'm here with Mark.
I'm here with Mark.
Everything's okay.
Everything's okay.
So far, this podcast is going a lot better than Gary's.
Yes. Awesome. Nice.
You agree to that, right?
Well, I mean, Gary was, of course. I mean, I want to see us your equal. It's unique. Everybody is. I love uniqueness, and
okay,
it's definitely unique.
Well, we're reaching for better, so we'll see what happens. Okay, grab your wrist. Grab your wrist.
Okay.
And when you grab your wrist, you're hitting the points in your hand, all the points in your hand. Take a deep breath, blow it out, and say peace.
Peace.
So this first round, okay, you can open your eyes now. This first round, we kind of just did a general, different emotions that it could be bothering. So now we're going to check back in now. It was a 6. Check back into that feeling. What is it now?
Yeah, it's gone down. Was it 3 or 2?
Okay, notice, and everyone at home too, notice what makes it whatever it is. For you, it's a 3 or 2. You got it? Notice what makes it. You can be seeing things. You can be feeling things. You can be hearing things.
I'm definitely eased up a little bit. Yeah, I feel especially in the heart area with the tapping.
Okay, notice what's left. That 3 or 2. Notice what makes it a 3 or 2. You got it?
Right.
All right, tap with me now. Open your eyes and say, let it go.
Let it go.
Side of the eye, let it go.
Let it go.
It's going to be okay. It's under the eye. Just follow me now. It's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.
I'm okay.
I'm okay.
Collarbone, it's safe to heal from this.
It's safe to heal from this.
I'm okay.
I'm okay.
Good job. Grab your wrist. Deep breath. Blow it out and say peace.
Peace.
All right. So now check in again. How strong is it now?
I would say that it's more overwhelmed with good feelings that I can't even look at a negative. So it's definitely a 1 or 0.
So 1 or 0. Mm-hmm. Okay. Can you make it come back? Try to make it, because just 1 minute ago, you made it a 6. Mm-hmm. So try to make it back, make it come back.
Hard to make it come back. I mean, it doesn't go up much.
Okay. So
just
would you say, what number would you give it?
I mean, a 2.
Okay. All right. So now what I want you to do is go to a happy memory, Justin, and everyone at home too. Just remember a time where you felt peace, or you felt relaxed, or you felt empowered. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, notice where in your body you feel that. And what I want you to do is send that feeling to your issue right now, the issue that was 2 or 3. It used to be a 5 or 6. Whatever it is, send that feeling. And like what I do is I send it like a beam of love, light and love. Kind of let it give it a little healing beam of light and love. Send it to your, whatever it is, that makes it a 2 or 3. Got it?
Yeah.
Good job. Grab your wrist. Deep breath, blow it out and say peace.
Peace.
All right. So check in again. So the tapping, when we do the tapping, that, as you know, that breaks the trance of the problem. And when you went to a happy memory, that also breaks the trance of the memory. And it also adds good feelings to
Mm-hmm.
whatever the memory or whatever's bothering you. So now check into the issue that we don't even know what it is. And what number would you give it now?
Yeah, I don't feel any connection with it. It's a 0.
Okay, good. Very good. So now that it's a 0, you don't have resistance to it. It's neutral. What we'd say is, you and everyone at home, just close your eyes again, take a deep breath, and imagine the situation, how you'd have liked it to happen, or how you would like it to happen, and feel how you'd like to feel, how you'd like it to happen, your attitude. You got it?
Got it.
Good job. Now do it again and make it even better. Remember, you're making this shit up now. So you make it up any way you want, right? Embellish it, make it better. Add colors, add people, add attitudes, add fun, add lightness, add scenarios, change the image. As you know, this is NLP stuff. This is
Yes.
more NLP than even EFT. This faster EFT that we're doing.
Very powerful.
Very powerful. So tell me when you got it again. Everyone at home, do the same thing. Make it even better.
I got it.
Very good. All right. So you can open your eyes now. What we would do is have you do it even a third time, make it even better. Write it down in something that's called a happy journal.
Oh, nice.
And I can talk about the happy journal another time, but so you write it down, and then we would ask you to practice this new story now that you created, this new feeling, this new experience. So we want to practice it, the new, so that way, whatever we're replacing, we want to replace that good feeling, the new story, with whatever was there 3 minutes ago.
Okay.
There you go.
Nice. Yep.
So it's an amazing tool. I mean, I tap all the time for myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an amazing tool that I use every day. And again, it's the foundation is law of attraction for me.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like it's these subtle things that are so important. So we think that we need to do like big things to make changes in our lives. We have to prove ourselves. But what we're really doing is coloring the past. What we're really doing is seeing a better future it's just clarity. And
That's
what
exactly right.
what your techniques are doing is just, I mean, like the idea of Joshua one is always to like write things down. You have a happy journal, and that's just maybe similar to the tapping of physicalizing, just for yourself some sort of, I don't know if it's like I want to say a memento, but something that just makes it more
Tangible, maybe.
physicalized, more tangible. Yeah, because obviously
Yeah.
a thought you brush it aside and you don't hold on to it as much. But this kind of combined, I think it can do powerful things.
Yeah, it's very much in alignment with Joshua. It's just another process that we think, just Joshua has processes. This is another process. And Joshua has their equivalent to the Happy Journal. We have the Faster EFT. We have a Happy Journal, and Joshua has the Joshua Diet Playbook that I used a lot. I don't know if you use it, but it's
No.
everyday process. It's a positive process every day, and we're talking about goals. And what we do instead, I like to do instead of goals, is positive general intentions for the day. How do you want to feel? I'm going to look for things to be grateful for. I'm going to be nicer to myself, nicer to others, and look for things to appreciate, things like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think this is maybe a good point to maybe stop this podcast for because I would definitely want to do this again at some point, maybe go into even deeper details. But it was definitely a good taster of, because I'm now more enlightened than before, and it's definitely I think this is one of the advantages of podcasting is that I don't really care so much about others. I know that the people who get it, who need it, and I can only know that what I experienced during the conversation and afterwards too. I've listened to the other podcasts I've done, and I still get stuff out of it later.
Yeah.
From the people, like, so I'll watch this again and I'll be like, oh, okay, I didn't even catch that the first time that you did that, and I really love that. It's similar to the tapping because it's like, increasing, the significance of something that's very, very positive and building it.
Yes.
Just going back to it and just touching on it. And
that's right.
I'm very, very happy that you're able to make time for us today. And
thank you so much, Justin. I appreciate it.
And I'm going to put all your details below on YouTube, and it's also on some of the podcasting sites. And I definitely encourage anybody to get in touch with you. And I'm sure you have some more online videos of your techniques and discussions about it, right?
Yeah, I have my own podcast as well.
Nice.
To tap it out.
How many episodes do you have so far?
You know what? I stopped for a while. I'm going to start up again, and I'd like to add this to my podcast as well. Our conversation.
It belongs to the world.
I think I have 11 or 12. Oh no, maybe 13 or 14.
Okay.
Because I don't do it. I don't pressure myself to do it. So when I'm not, maybe like what you're doing, like when I'm not inspired, I just don't do it. But I'm getting inspired to get back into it.
Nice. I mean, for me, the only issue is I'm a morning person. And because of the time difference with the U.S., I have to do these in the evening, where I'm actually normally not very energetic. Because I have kids, part of the time, and I go to bed quite early. So, but I'm learning. It's like to deal with it, just to accept it, because so many cool people in the States I want to talk to through the Joshua community. And
I really appreciate this, Justin. This is a great conversation with you.
Me too, man. It's definitely enlightening, and I want to wish you what time is it there now? California, right?
It's 11:44 right now.
Okay, so it's still good morning. I'm in the evening time, late evening.
What time is it over there?
It's 8:44.
8:44. Okay.
Yeah, my day is over, dude. And your day is just beginning. Isn't that awesome?
That's right. Yeah.
Dude. So I wish you a wonderful day, and good luck, and I'll talk to you, I'm sure, soon.
Thank you so much, Justin.
All right. Bye.
See ya.